Good evening and welcome back to the local campaign City of Cambridge Ward 3 debate. We are continuing with our question and answer segment. We'll hear now from our media panel, Glenn Pelche of 570 News. Glenn.
Thank you, Kara. The region has worked to improve emergency response times in recent months, but we all know about that one troubling incident from the summer in which an ambulance was carrying a critically ill patient and was delayed by a train. This particular issue is affecting Cambridge in particular. Are you encouraged by how this issue has been handled up to this point? And how would you tackle this issue going forward, notwithstanding the progress that has already been made?
We'll hear first from candidate Brian Santos.
Well, first I'm going to say thank you to all the hardworking individuals that work in our emergency response teams. They've done fantastic. I know my family's had to use them a few times, and they've helped save lives, and they've saved my father's life. So that was a great thing that they've done, and I thank them for that. But one thing I will have to say, when it comes to issues like that, it's really tough to, you can look back on it, and you can always say, what we could have done, what we could have done to go back to this. But really, it's it's those types of situations. It's really tough to foresee, and it was delayed by a train, and the only other solution really is to try to find ways to get around that and try to maybe find different routes or potentially looking at bridges in order to combat these situations. But really, it's timing really, and it's really tough to look ahead. And it's something that we definitely need to look at in city planning wise for emergency scenarios. And yeah, it's something that we definitely have to defer and see what city staff can come up with.
Thank you, candidate Brian Santos. Your time is up. We'll now hear from candidate Mike Toffner.
Yeah, when I heard of this, actually, to be quite honest with you, I thought something like this would probably happen one day, and it did. Because, when you travel down that road and that train goes by and it stops and starts, it's not nice. And, well, guess what happened? We needed to get across. We couldn't. And I guess that somebody dropped the ball here, because that should have been thought about probably, when Toyota come into town. But nothing was done about it until this happened. And it's a tragic thing that happened. And the quicker we can get this done, the better it would be for the safety of all our citizens in Cambridge. CP Rail, I know, is a tough cookie to crack, and I know they're working on that right now. Thank you.
Thank you, candidate Mike Toffner. We'll now hear from candidate Bev McDowell.
Yes, I'm very upset about the situation that happened near where I live, and this particular intersection is often frequented by our ambulances from the hospital to cut up, because they try to avoid Hespeler Road, which is even worse, to get across the tracks down there. The overpass that is eventually going to be built on Hespeler Road should have been done 10 years ago. We've had Toyota in Cambridge for over 25 years. This should have been done 10 years ago, this overpass, some type of an overpass. We have one small overpass on Beverly Street. That is one way that the ambulances could have diverted. Whether it would have been enough time or not, we'll never know.
Thank you, candidate Bev McDowell. We'll now hear from candidate Carl Kiefer.
Thank you. That situation that happened in Preston should have never happened, but as accidents go, it happened. So my feeling is I'm encouraged by what's happened in terms of what the direction they're going. I'm discouraged in the fact that I've had personal involvement with CP Rail in other matters, and it seems to be they're very difficult to get along. I've had some discussions with our Member of Parliament, Gary Goodyear, who too has insisted that CP Rail really needs to change their situation and come up with some sort of a scenario whereby emergency vehicles can get through the railway tracks. The underpass or overpass, if you want to call it that, at the Delta is going to go ahead finally. The region ended up taking the railway people to court on it because they were going to renege on contributing their share of money for it and also moving the shunting grounds. But now a judge has said that they need to do that. And
thank you, candidate Carl Kiefer. Your time is up. We'll now hear from our media panel, Lynn Osborne-Way of Rogers TV. Lynn.
Thank you. Candidates, there are many things that you will be able to possibly spend money on if you were on council. There's traffic management, roundabouts, heritage preservation, recreation programs, and some people are calling for more. In the recreation field, I wonder what you feel is the biggest need. What are your priorities? What do you want to make sure you would get done before your council term would be over?
We'll hear first from candidate Mike Toffner.
Yes, I've often thought that we truly need what they call a nice sports center, and maybe work in conjunction with Conestoga College. The sports center I'm talking about is having an indoor pool, a couple ice pads, room for soccer. I know it sounds like a lot, but you know what? We have seniors that can use it, and seniors are so important to Preston. They need to have some kind of indoor pool. Our kids need someplace to go, and our arenas are a terrible disaster, and they're very insulting, as a matter of fact. So if there's anything I can do, I would love to have this new sports center and work in conjunction with Conestoga College. Thank you.
Thank you, candidate Mike Toffner. We'll now hear from candidate Bev McDowell.
I'd like to see a brand new senior center like they have in Guelph. That is my goal. But unfortunately at the time, our fiscal state of affairs is just terrible, and our reserve funds are so low that every tax dollar that we get in should be put into our reserve funds. We have money to pay back to the provincial and federal governments, I believe, from the stimulus. We have to pay our debts before we can spend money on anything, any more major projects. And this is why I'm totally against Drayton Theatre in the Venice Biennial at this time. We have to pay our debts. We don't want to leave our grandchildren in debt.
Thank you, candidate Bev McDowell. We'll now hear from candidate Carl Kiefer.
Thank you for the question. We in Cambridge have been privileged to have a number of things that we can be very proud of. One of the things that I want to stress is that we do have to be fiscally responsible, and so it's a choice or a matter of priorities as to what would be, you know, first, second, and third. But to me, one of the things that will be done in terms of a seniors complex is that the Alan Reuter Center is partnering or will co-locate with the Langs Farm Village Association to build a new facility for our seniors and frail and elderly. And having said that, the fact that I've been the chair of the master plan for leisure service and recreation, used to be called Parks and Rec, I've been working or trying to strive towards a multi-use facility for a long time, but this may not be the time because of the fiscal restraint. Thank you.
Thank you, candidate Carl Kiefer. We'll now hear from candidate Brian Santos.
Thank you. When it comes to something that I would love to do while I'm here, the majority thing that I would love to have is some type of event or events that unite the city. We have tons of events going on in Galt, Preston, and Hespeler, and basically more or less separating each other. And there's always these little bit of a bickering when it comes back and forth to that. And I think we need to start working together and uniting each other. And I would love to see the day where, you know, we have a festival one day and it's a celebration throughout the entire city. And I think that's something I would like to focus on and leave for the city when my time is done. And also I would really love to see a recreational center brought into the city, but as of right now, it just doesn't make economical sense to do so. But it would be something that I would love to work towards and eventually bring in.
Thank you, candidate Brian Santos. We have a caller on the line with a question for our candidates. Angela from Cambridge.
Hello.
Angela, thank you for calling
Thank
back.
you for taking my call this evening. My question is about the water. My husband and I travel to Erin, Ontario every once a week to get clean, fresh water. And my question is what your opinion is on the fluoride, taking the fluoride out of the water. Thank you.
Thank you again for calling back, Angela, and thank you for your question. We'll hear first from candidate Bev McDowell.
Okay, it is my understanding that Cambridge water is not fluoridated, and the fluoridation question is coming up for Kitchener-Waterloo in this election, not for Cambridge. Fluoridation, to me, is not necessary. We get enough fluoride in our toothpaste, we get enough fluoride in our dental visits. We don't need fluoride in our water. What we need is clean, potable water. And I think in the next year we're going to be seeing some improvement to our water from the region. I believe they are coming down and they're going to be doing some modifications to our water system.
Thank you, candidate Bev McDowell. We'll now hear from candidate Carl Kiefer.
Thank you. As we've already heard, fluoridation doesn't appear to be an issue in Cambridge. However, I would leave that particular question up to the health officials to really come through with an explanation as to whether it's a good thing or a bad thing for the general populace. My feeling is that we haven't had it here, and it doesn't appear that we need it. But I could be wrong, and the health officials could be right. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, candidate Carl Kiefer. We'll now hear from candidate Brian Santos.
I had the opportunity to work for a company that focused on purification of water. And when it comes to the fluoride issue, one thing I've learned is that it's not necessary to be in our water system. The biggest concern I have with our water is the parts per million levels that come out of our tap waters. Now, I believe it's a Canadian. I know it's considered unfit for human consumption, anything that's over 500 parts per million. And that, if you were to take a home test and test that, your home water in Cambridge and in the region will most likely be over 500. And that's what concerns me the most. And that's something that we need to look at, and we need to try to find a solution and bringing that down. But the fact of the matter is, in the way that our system is set up, we're just adding chemicals, and we're not really taking out the pure water and serving it to our, we're just adding more bleach and trying to purify it in those measures.
Thank you, candidate Brian Santos. We'll now hear from candidate Mike Toffner.
Yeah, I don't think that I can make a decision on whether we should have fluoride water or not. I think the people that should be telling us that, the people that know what they're doing. As far as I know, our water is fine, and we drink it every day. I'm healthy, and I've been around for a while, so I don't see if there's anything wrong with our water. I'm sure somebody would tell us. The answer to the question is I can't answer that question, whether we have fluoride or not. I'll let the proper authorities tell us if we do need it. Thank you.